Welcome to another video from Roland Mösel, founder of Planetary Engineering Group Earth. Functional energy transition versus German energy transition. Back in history, the German energy transition was designed 1998 to 2005 under a coalition government of Green Party and Socialist Party. Main work was done by the green energy spokesman Hans-Josef. Main instrument is the Energy Feed-in Act. From 2005 to 2021, further administration by several CDU, CSU, or what's that? Let's best assume it's a mix of US Democratic Party and US Republican Party, and they had coalitions with the liberals and the socialists. This changed from government to government, and in autumn 2021 there was a regular 4-year election for the Bundestag, and at this came out a socialist, green and liberal coalition government. And now you would think they make big reforms. Oh, this terrible other government made so bad with the Energy Feed-in Act. Now we have to make big reforms. No, nothing like this happened. Only small changes. The Energy Feed-in Act is reformed nearly every year, and this 2022 now was not a big reform, just a usual reform of the Energy Feed-in Act. So it can be assumed that the Greens were satisfied with the further administrations by the CDU, CSU governments. This is Hans-Josef. At the meeting of the Austrian-Bavarian Solar Energy Initiatives in February 2014 in Salzburg. And this picture he saw on the wall. The electricity consumed will decline. Oh, what a miracle! The electricity consumed will decline. We change from internal combustion engine cars to electric cars. We change from making fire to the heat pump, and a miracle, the electricity consumed will decline. This is the man who designed the German energy transition. Really. I made already a video about this. Green dogmatism and the destruction of the German photovoltaics industry. How? Because they thought the electricity consumption will decline. They made a target of only 70 gigawatt of photovoltaics for all Germany. Oh, I made last year a study with 1,400 gigawatt, 20 times more. But they thought, oh, all will decline, so we need not so much energy, and 70 gigawatt is enough. And this was a main contribution for the destruction of the German photovoltaic industry. Let's look on the spot market for energy. This is a day ahead marked. This means 2 p.m. each day is the fixing for every hour of the next day, and we see here for every hour of the next day a forecast for. It's in cyan, this is wind energy, in orange, this is solar energy, and below in something like gray and blue mixed, this is the hourly energy price. And you see here big differences. In the below pictures, this is weekend where the demand is a little bit less, and so, yes, daytime only about 4 cents per kilowatt hour, and then big surprise, the sun sets, night comes. And because all this photovoltaic has no storage, the price jumps up from 4 cents to nearly 40 cents. Yes, this is really extreme. And now you would think, oh, this has to change. They have sure studies how to improve the situation. We need enough batteries that we can distribute the solar energy to the night time and so on. Oh, yeah. Yes, they made studies. Here we have a study where the electricity was simulated for the year 2050. Oh, that's 28 years in the future. And now we should have a perfect renewable energy system. Oh no. The first simulation is for April 2050, 1 week. And here we see 40 gigawatt electricity export. And when there is so much electricity and you export them, sure, the price is very low. Something like in the last picture where the price dropped to only 4 cents. And this is a simulation for October 2050, 1 week. And here 37 gigawatt import of electricity. Now you would think, oh, what's the problem? 40 gigawatt export, 37 gigawatt import, it's nearly equal. But think on the market prices I showed you. 4 cents when there's much electricity, nearly 40 cents in the evening when the sun goes down. And here we can expect a similar situation. Energy export when it's very cheap, energy import when it's very expensive. And let's continue now in April. 190 gigawatt for power to heat. Oh, why? Simple reason, in this simulation are not enough batteries. So they waste all the good electricity to make heat out of it. I cannot see a usual purpose for this, but this is a famous German scientific institute, Fraunhofer Institute. So, yes, they use 190 gigawatt for power to heat. And what is when the heat storage is full? 250 gigawatt cut off. Oh, they cannot deliver electricity to the grid. 250 gigawatts are simply switched off. And really, this is a study from a famous German Institute for Scientific Research. Really, you have to believe this. I can prove it to you. This is really from a scientific institute. And now let's compare point for point the general attitude towards the energy transition at first, at functional energy transition and German energy transition. The energy transition must raise living standards and energy security, as well as reduce import dependence. And the German energy transition, the battle cry of the climate protectors. More money for climate protection. We have to do something, no matter what the cost is. Yes, we see it in all the design features of the German energy transition that this was the main idea of it. What is the motivation for the energy transition? Peak oil, peak gas, peak coal, peak uranium, and of course also climate change. Peak X means the production volume decreases and there are drastic price increases. such as in the oil price crisis of 2008. In 2008, only 3.5 million barrels oil production daily was missing. Not enough oil on the market. And from autumn 2007 to summer 2008, this 3.5 million barrels not enough on the market increased the oil price from $70 to $147. And it's only 3.5 million barrel. Only at that time about a little bit less than 4% of the world market. And this caused such drastic price jumps. Fatih Birol, the chief economist of the IEA, the International Energy Association, said at this time, we have to leave oil before the oil leaves us. Yes, very reasonable. Maybe next oil crisis, 10 or 20 million barrels are missing on the market, and imagine what happens to all the economy around the world. A disaster. So better we leave oil before the oil leaves us. And now, German energy transition. What is the motivation? Climate change. Nothing else? Climate change. Really nothing else? Climate change. Yes, good reason, good. Now the guiding vision, the symbol of the energy transition. Functional energy transition. Land for energy. That is the name of my last video. The combination of combating skyrocketing housing costs and skyrocketing energy costs at the same time. Houses that generate many times their own energy needs and feed the electricity into the grid according to demand. No, not all the sun shines, I throw all the electricity in the grid. No, when the demand is high, then I feed in. I feed in maybe 40% when the sun shines, and in the evening I feed in 60%. Demand driven, not there is sun, I put all in the grid. And what is the symbol of the German energy transition? Wind energy plants, as far as you can see, up to the horizon, you see only wind energy power plants. Guiding vision for people in the energy transition. Functional energy transition. The family that has purchased a new single-family house according to the new building standard, climate protection superiority house, and enjoys the higher standard of living with their children. The retired couple, which has senior-friendly 25 degrees Celsius in their climate protection superiority house and travels a lot with the electric car. They have worked all their lives now. They should enjoy their pension. And now, German energy transition. The cargo bike rider who lives in dense residential housing in winter at 15 degrees Celsius room temperature and washes only once a week at 4 spots of his skin. Nothing else, only 4 spots, that is enough. That said a German minister. And you should believe German ministers. And this cargo bike driver is, of course, without child. No child, I make the sacrifice for climate protection. A complete different thing. 2 viewpoints. Now, exit priorities. Functional energy transition. First priority is to exit oil, the peak oil danger. Yes, maybe 10 million less on the market, the oil price explodes and all the economy crashes. And best survives who have changed from internal combustion engine cars to electric cars. Look to Norway. Norway is far in the transition from internal combustion engine cars to electric cars. And why? Oh, so Norway people should drive with cheap electric power. We have very much from this in Norway, so the state can export more oil to all the unreasonable people who do not change as fast as Norway. Next is coal. Coal is the dirtiest form of energy. Then bioenergy. It's an enormous waste of land. So much land for so small amounts of energy, it's crazy. Next is natural gas, gradually replaced with power to methane from excess electricity. And last one, uranium. We will use uranium as long as there is natural gas not completely replaced with power to methane from excess electricity. So, yes, this takes some decades. And now, priorities of the German energy transition. First, uranium. Oh, I thought they have something problem with the climate change. And nuclear power plants have much less CO2 emissions, whereas when you produce uranium a little bit, than coal power plants. But they say, no, uranium first. That's the highest priority. Germany has just right now an energy crisis with exploding energy prices. And what do they say? Oh, we want to switch off the last 3 nuclear power plants in Germany in the middle of an energy crisis. Crazy. Next is coal, natural gas, and at last oil. So they have nearly reversed the targets of a functional energy transition in their priority list. Next, the differences between summer and winter. Germany is far north, so we have between summer months and winter months a difference from 1 to 7 in the north of Germany, maybe even 1 to 8 between electricity chilled in June and July and in December and January. So what to do? Up to 300 gigawatt of photovoltaic and 750 gigawatt hours of batteries in Germany. The aim is to optimize the operation of caloric power plants. Then, with power to methane or methanol, fossil energy is gradually replaced by energy generated with summer surplus of solar energy. This is the optimize and replace strategy. And now the German energy transition. In summer, photovoltaic generates more electricity. In winter, wind power plants generate more electricity. And now we make a calculation. How much do we need from photovoltaic and from wind power plants that we have in each month of the year the same electricity chilled. In winter, we need much more wind energy, and in summer, we have much more solar energy. And so they think very important to have very, very much wind energy power plants to make this difference. And what happens? There's a day, there's a night and no wind is. We have a little bit of gas power plants, and we have for this biomass generating methane, and when this is not enough, we import energy like I showed in the picture from the study from the year 2050. We import 37 gigawatt of electricity. And yes, this is very, very strange. Next, how is the operation of caloric power plants optimized? Now, what is this? Oh, maybe you have seen a prospect of a new diesel engine car and is written 42% efficiency. Oh, great, 42%. But this is only at ideal temperature, ideal load, and ideal revolutions per minute. This is a point of the full table of conditions of the engine. And when you go a little bit in the other direction, you go down maybe below 10%. You are in an underground garage and you are slowly driving around searching a parking place. In this case, the efficiency can drop from 42% to below 10%. And this is not only true to internal combustion engines, this is also true for caloric power plants. Well, the best combined cycle power plants have 60.7% efficiency. There will come even a new Siemens combined cycle power plant a little bit above 64%. Great, but it's also only at one certain work condition. And this work condition is not given when you have always to change load down, load up, switch off, switch on. This decreases the efficiency. And what can you do against it? Oh, the same as a hybrid car. A hybrid car has an electric engine and an internal combustion engine and tries to optimize both to increase efficiency. So we made the experience that these hybrid cars have less consumption than an internal combustion engine only car. And this is because they optimize the use of the internal combustion engine by batteries. And the same we can do with all the countries' caloric power plants. With a large amount of batteries for day-night balancing, load changes, unforeseeable partial loads and cold starts can be reduced more and more. And with enough batteries, medium and peak load power plants are no longer necessary. Yes, there's not always this combined cycle power plant from cold start to full power 5 hours. At very fast load changes, they need peaker power plants. This is a gas turbine alone, only 38% efficiency, but it goes up very fast compared to a combined cycle power plant. And depending on the situation, this allows a free choice between coal power plants and gas power plants. So this is functional. And now German energy transition. Caloric power plants with fossil or nuclear energy are our enemies. If the operation of these power plants is complicated by constantly, rapidly changing demands by different feed-in of solar and wind power, then this is to be seen positively as fighting an enemy. Oh, very different viewpoints. And now, how should the world look like after the energy transition? Functional energy transition, worldwide wealth through cheap energy. The prerequisites for a planet renovation have been created, which means reducing CO2 in the atmosphere to 350 ppm. I made already a video about this. This is a huge thing to reduce to 350 ppm. And only with worldwide wealth, with 9 to 10 billion people who have a good living standard, this is possible. This is nothing for a poor population. Poor population cannot afford this. So the target has to be worldwide wealth to be able to perform a planet renovation without big effort, without reducing living standard. And now, German energy transition. Energy is scarce and expensive, and people are thus educated to save, restrict, and do without. Terrible. But how to reduce CO2 to 350 ppm with such a poor population and such high energy prices? No answer is given. I hope I convinced now all the enemies of an energy transition that they are only enemies of the German-style energy transition, and that a real functional energy transition is something very good. This was another video from Roland Mösel, founder of Planetary Engineering Group Earth, and as always, like, comment, subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I make my next video.